Seljuk is a ruling military family of the Ghuzz Turkic tribes that invaded southwestern Asia in the 11th century and eventually founded an empire that included Mesopotamia, Syria, Palestine, and most of Iran. Their advance marked the beginning of Turkic power in the Middle East during the 10th century migrations of the Turkic peoples from Central Asia and southeastern Russia. One group of nomadic tribes, led by a chief named Seljuk, settled in the lower reaches of the Syr Darya, ancient Jaxartes River, and later converted to the Sunni form of Islam. They played a part in the frontier defense forces of the Samanids and later of Maḥmūd of Ghazna. Seljuk's two grandsons, Chaghri Beg and Toghrïl Beg, enlisted Persian support to win realms of their own, Chaghri controlling the greater part of Khorāsān and Toghrïl, at his death in 1063, heading an empire that included western Iran and Mesopotamia. Under the Sultans Alp Arslan and Malik Shah, the Seljuk Empire was extended to include all of Iran and Mesopotamia and Syria, including Palestine. In 1071 Alp Arslan defeated an immense Byzantine army at Manzhikrit and captured the Byzantine Emperor Romanus IV Diogenes. The way was open for Turkmen Seljukius to settle in Asia Minor. Because of Toghrïl Beg's victory over the Buyids in Baghdad in 1055, the Seljukius came to be seen as the restorers of Muslim unity under the Sunni Caliphate. While Alp Arslan and Malik Shah expanded the empire to the frontier of Egypt, the Seljuk vizier Nizam al-Mulk oversaw the empire's organization during both their reigns. The Seljuk Empire, political as well as religious in character, left a strong legacy to Islam. The Seljuk Empire was unable to prevent the rise of the Nizari Ismailis, a Shi'i sect thought to be responsible for the killing of Vizier Nizam al-Mulk in 1092. More importantly, the empire was undermined by the Seljuks' practice of dividing provinces among a deceased ruler's sons, thus creating numerous independent and unstable principalities. Internecine struggles for power followed. The last of the Iranian Seljukius died on the battlefield in 1194, and by 1200 Seljuk power was at an end everywhere except in Anatolia. Alp Arslan's victory at Manzhikrit in 1071 had opened the Byzantine frontier to Oğuz tribesmen, and they soon established themselves as mercenaries in the Byzantines' local struggles. Their employment by rival Byzantine generals vying for the throne of Constantinople, now Istanbul, gained them increasing influence, and gradually they assumed control of Anatolia as allies of the Byzantine emperor. They were driven to the interior of Anatolia by crusaders in 1097. Hemmed in between the Byzantine Greeks on the west and by the Crusader states in Syria on the east, the Seljuk Turks organized their Anatolian domain as the Sultanate of Rum. Though its population included Christians, Armenians, Greeks, Syrians, and Iranian Muslims, Rum was considered to be Turkey by its contemporaries. Commerce, agriculture, and art thrived in the kingdom, where a tolerance of races and religions contributed to order and stability. A war against the Khwarezm Shah dynasty of Iran instigated in 1230 by the Rum Sultan Ala al-Din Qaybad Qaykobad I led ultimately to the disintegration of Rum and of Seljuk power. The loss of the Khwarezmian buffer state meant that when the invading Mongols reached Turkey's eastern frontiers, the Seljukius could not fend them off. At the Battle of Kozze Dağ in 1243, Seljuk autonomy was lost forever. For a time the Seljuk Sultanate continued as a Mongol province, although some Turkmen emirs maintained small principalities of their own in distant mountainous districts. The Seljuk dynasty died out at last early in the 14th century.